So, what's autism? Autism is a word that everyone has heard of at some point in their life, and it's a thing that people don't really discuss very well, and not many people actually know what autism is. So, I'm going to try my best within this short video to explain to you just exactly what autism is. Autism is a neurological disorder that affects the brain and the body. It's something that is present from birth. It can sometimes be induced through injury and other forms of brain damage later on in life, but in most cases it's something that's already present with the person when they are brought to life, to child, babyhood, birth. I'm sure you don't really care too much about the science of it all, so I'm just going to mostly explain what the struggles are and what the good points are of autism. So autism generally means that from a child, things are very slow to kind of happen, so things like crawling, speaking, creating emotional bonds with people, and the ability to function the body around objects, moving, walking, picking things up and such. From a young age, autism can be the most stressful time in someone's life, especially for parents and loved ones around that person, but also specifically that person, because their senses are so heightened. They're very sensitive to light, sound, temperature, touch, all sorts of things like that, which as a kid, as a young child, these are things that you're experiencing for the first time, and for a parent that can be really difficult because that child can cry often and be upset and emotional and angry often, and from a parent perspective, how do you even things like the texture of a blanket can throw an autistic person off the scales. So as a child, if a young baby who doesn't know how to communicate with their parents yet, doesn't like the texture of the blanket that they have, and they're screaming the house down and the parent just doesn't know what's wrong with them, that can be so stressful both for baby and for mum and dad. As they get older, they start to form relationships with people, and this is where it can go kind of one of two ways. It can be no attachment whatsoever or full attachment. There's very little of in between of anything when it comes to autism, and there's very much one extreme or the other. And so when meeting new people, an autistic person can meet someone and instantly create a bond with them, whether that other person is aware of it or not, and can be really upset when that person leaves. That could even be meeting someone at the grocery store that shows some form of attention to them, and obviously that person isn't going to spend the rest of their lives around that person with autism, so that can be quite upsetting. And it can also mean that they don't have an attachment to someone whatsoever, and if that is a loved one or a family member, that can be quite upsetting, but they need to understand that, you know, their choice, it's not their choice for stuff like that to happen. One thing that happens a lot, which so many people are so blind to see, and it really upsets me, is when, say, for example, in a busy area like the shopping centre or a theme park or anything like that, an autistic person has a meltdown because there's so many sounds around them, so many things to see, and they just have a meltdown, and so they just kind of go into scream and fall on the floor and fight kind of mode. And obviously on a parent's perspective, you know, that they're not going to tell their child off because they're not doing anything wrong. They're having emotions. Everyone is free to have emotions, so what they do is they let that child express their emotions and just make sure they're safe. And from someone who's viewing that, they think, wow, they're letting their kid freak out. Like, what is wrong with this parent? Why, like, I would never let my kid kick and scream and hit me and stuff like that. I would throw them into a corner and tell them off and never let them see the daylight ever again. And again, emotional for the parent who is having to receive so much criticism from other people around them, and for that person with the autism to be like, oh, everyone hates me because I get really emotional sometimes, thanks guys. And then there is, of course, going through school, high school, college, university, and the rest of life. So learning can be really difficult. Again, if you're in a classroom where there are other kids, lots of noise, lots of sounds going on, that can be really disturbing sometimes, and also it means you can disturb other people if you kind of kick out and have the emotions and things. Most schools do have some form of help for students with special needs and disabilities, but there are also some schools around that specify specifically for people with disabilities and special needs, and I highly recommend them. They're fantastic places. They are fully equipped and fully educated on people with special needs, and I definitely recommend sending your child to one of these if they have severe special needs. They're great. So being a teenager or adult with autism can be one of two things. You can be surrounded by people who are really, really supportive, stand up for you, they help you as best they can, and they do everything, they go completely out of their way and do everything they can to make life as comfortable and as easy for you. And that's great. That's so rare to have people like that around you, and if you have friends like that, keep them, because they're going to be the best people you'll ever come across. But it also means that people who don't know who you are going to judge you. They're going to hate you because they don't understand. And that's one of the biggest things, is that people don't have knowledge and they fear what they don't know. And so they hate on people for something they know nothing about. And so it's really important to educate people around you and to ensure that if you're a friend of someone who has autism, that you educate those people as well. How you treat someone or how you teach someone to treat someone with autism can make a huge difference in that person's life. It can be as little as, just giving them a pat on the back and say, I'm here for you if you need me. Or if they're having a meltdown, taking them somewhere that's out of the way of everyone so they can have their freedom to feel their emotions without people judging them. It's being there for them when they need you, but also being there for them when they don't need you, but being there just in case. That's what a great friend is. Autism is not being able to understand everything around you all at once. Autism is taking your senses in small chunks, taking small amounts of time to come to terms with the sounds around you, the feeling around you, the temperature around you. It's taking everything in small chunks. Autism is not just what you see in the papers, it's not just what you see in the media, and it's not just what you see on films. Every autistic person is so different to the next. There is no one autistic person that explains the whole spectrum of autism. Autism has so many different spectrums. There's the high functioning autistic person who is able to function like every normal person in their everyday life and not really need that much help. And then there's the low functioning autistic person who needs help every day and possibly would need a carer with them at all times. There are so many different people in this world, and not one person is the same as the other. Take the time to talk to someone with autism and try to understand what it is that they go through and understand their needs so that you can help them. If you or someone you know has autism, then please do let me know in the comments and discuss what you think autism is, because autism is different to everyone. I can only go from what I know and from what I experience of autism, so I am in no way qualified to explain to the whole world what autism is, because like I said, it's not just one specific list of things, it's a whole pyramid of things, and I explained this in my last video, so if you don't know what that was, go back and check that. If you have any questions or any comments you'd like to make, then please do leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye, bye bye, bye.